But football's become soft like our country has become soft.
Well, welcome, guys, to a very special Super Bowl edition of Laces Out. AJ, it's just me and you here. Pat's down in the middle of that Category 5 shitstorm on Radio Row in Minneapolis. So I guess if we were one of those regular shows that would have a catchy name for this, like, okay, we're playing Cover 2 today, or it's a combo route, but we don't go this that way at all. And AJ, I got a million questions to ask you as a Super Bowl champion, but I believe you've got a little business to take care of first.
That's right, Jared. I want to talk to you about Dollar Shave Club. So by now, everyone knows Dollar Shave Club ships amazing razors for a few bucks. I know I've been a member for a while, and I love my shave with my terrible facial hair I grow anyway. I still need to shave every once in a while, not every day like you. You're a man's man, Jerry.
Pure testosterone over here.
Definitely no low T for you. But what you might not know, I know I didn't, is that Dollar Shave Club also has products for pretty much everything else I need in the bathroom. Body wash, shampoo, hair gel, lip balm, everything. As soon as I heard Dollar Shave Club had stuff other than razors, I know I was sold. Because we know at the store there's a million options. You can't tell the difference between any of them. If you have any questions, the clerk is usually awful, doesn't know the difference, doesn't know how to help you. And so just like the razors, everything is super high quality at Dollar Shave Club, and it left me looking and feeling amazing. From premium ingredients to sophisticated scents, Dollar Shave Club is changing the game. If you're like me and sick of the nonsense at the store, now is the time to try out your Dollar Shave Club. For a limited time, Dollar Shave Club is basically giving away everything they have, their starter kit for new members. For only $5, this starter set features their executive razor and 3 trial size versions of their most popular products that help you stay fresh and clean. In your first box, you'll receive their shea butter, a body wash, and One Wipe Charlie's butt wipes. You will also receive their executive razor, which includes their premium weighty handle and full cassette of cartridges. After the first box, replacement cartridges are sent for only a few bucks a month. This offer is exclusively available at dollarshaveclub.com/laces. That's dollarshaveclub.com/laces. Dollar Shave Club's high quality products will have you covered from face cheeks to butt cheeks, Jerry. There's no better time to try the club.
Well, first of all, I want to appreciate everyone for listening to this. It's been kind of a crazy week, and we wanted to do one earlier in the week, and it's just been chaos everywhere you look. And New York is empty, and Minnesota is full with people doing Radio Row or whatever. Any regrets, AJ, that you're not in Minneapolis for this?
No. Well, first off, what's the weather like in Minneapolis? I haven't heard anybody tweet or talk about how cold it is. I can't. Can I get a weather report from somebody?
Yeah, no one's complaining about that or the fact that everything's at a mall. There's nothing like listening to full time, and I'm not talking about the Barstool guys so much as like the Boston sports radio clowns. Every one of them whining about the fact that they have to go and do this. And we're in a mall, and there's people 3 feet away, and they're making a bunch of noise. Go blow it out your ass. You know what I mean? There's people out there climbing telephone poles and putting out house fires and this stuff. But any regret I might have had went out the window. One, listening to them whine, and then 2, what you just mentioned, when they're saying that the real field temperature was minus 30 the other day. You're from the Midwest. Is that even possible?
Yeah, it is. But I think the biggest misconception is that so I played in Green Bay for 9 years, and I'm from Ohio, so I'm used to the cold. But it doesn't get easier the more you deal with it. Like the more you just know what to expect. I think the older you get, the harder it is to deal with the cold. Just because I played for 9 years in Green Bay doesn't mean I love the cold. I've said it a million times. I played 2 years with Brett Favre. Brett didn't love the cold. He's from Mississippi. He's a warm weather dude. He got traded to the Packers from the Falcons, and just that's where he played. He had to. So it's not like he thrived in that situation. He played well in it because he's a country tough dude. But it's not like he loved it. He would have much rather been playing in 70 degrees and sun like pretty much anybody.
Right. There's an NFL Network show they've been running about the Ice Bowl. It was 66 or 67, the Cowboys at Green Bay when it was like minus 15 at game time. And guess what? They manned up. They got through the game. The stands were full. Vince Lombardi was a middle-aged man. He coached in the cold. But guys who sit inside a mall doing nothing but bitch about it. And if I was there, I'd probably
Have
be
you ever
one of them.
been?
But
You ever go to Radio Row?
yes, for 1 week when I was at WEEI, they sent me down to Phoenix, and it's something I wanted to ask you because when you're down there and like I was writing and I was also doing 4 hours of radio every day, and so you want to earn it. Like you're not down there having fun. Like my brother calls me one day and goes, "So how many rounds of golf have you played?" I'm like, "Dude, you don't get it. Like I'm freaking out that I'm here. There's a million things going on, and if you're paying attention to 100 of them, you feel like there's 999,900 things you're missing." And that's
Yeah,
what
and
I
the
want
thing
to
about Radio Row, sorry, Jerry, is that
No.
so for people that don't know, there's just I don't know, hundreds of local radio shows, and then Sirius has a huge set there. I know the Barstool, they took over that bar restaurant for the week, but Radio Row is just that's exactly what it is. Multiple little tables set up next to it, touching each other, of all these radio shows from throughout the country and even international. There's a lot of different. There's some non-English speaking channels there that come in because the Super Bowl is gigantic. But any guy that is there, any player or former player, is really they're hawking some weird product. First off, they're there because your sponsor or whatever you have an endorsement with, they want you to go there, and they'll just do a bunch of interviews. But the tough thing, I've been there not as a person trying to get interviews, really. I've gone there not even really selling any product. I went there because I wanted to get into broadcasting. I had relationships, went on different shows. But you can't walk 5 steps without a million different local shows. Hey, can we get you for 5 minutes? Hey, can we get you? And then I've been on the other side. I've been on that guy as well, where I'm trying to get those people to come sit down, and you feel awful because any player there, any former player can't go 3 feet, can't turn around without somebody standing behind him, tapping him on the shoulder. I'm like, I just got to take a leak, man. Let me just walk 5 seconds. I'll be gone for 10 seconds. I promise. I'll be back. It's just a weird, jumbled mess of people, and I feel like there's not a whole lot of sit down. You don't get to sit and actually talk to guys for a long time. It's little short 5, 7, 10-minute interviews here and there where all the local shows you're trying to get somebody to say something inflammatory that causes headlines. That's basically what it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And as a guy who was on the other side of that equation, and you're sitting at that table, first of all, you look around and you see this sea, this 100 acres of just nothing but sports radio people, and you realize that it is really the bottom feeders of show business, because it's all just fat guys and losers and
not everybody, but yeah,
no,
but you're right.
There's
it's
lots of them, morning zoo guys and all these names like, hey, we're from the Sports Den and we're from Topeka, Kansas, and we're here. But the other part of it is just the famous people you see walking around everywhere, and I had a producer grabbing them. So, it was everybody from like Herm Edwards to like Jay Glazer to Chrissy Teigen walking around. And she doesn't actually walk. She just sort of like levitates off the ground. She just has this glow to her like an angel that just came down from heaven.
You big Chrissy Teigen guy?
She's not in my top 10 celebrities, but when you see her in person, you say, oh my God, like I get why she's number one on so many people's lists. But at one point we're talking to Jay Glazer and got the headphones on and we're in mid conversation, and over my shoulder comes one of my favorite actors. I would love to meet, Michael Chiklis from The Shield. And,
the shaved head guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's like comes over and he smacks Jay Glazer on the shoulder and then looks at me and says, hey, and then walks away. And I'm like, wait, did he say hey just because he's nice, or does he know who I am? He's a Massachusetts guy. He's narrated like one of the some of the Patriots documentaries or whatever. And it's that, like, you're constantly, your head is on a swivel. I will say this, by the time the week is over, you just want it to be over. You just want to hop a plane and go back home and turn it back into just watching a football game, because it's fun for a few days and then you just burn out by the time Friday rolls around.
That's the biggest misconception. People believe that all of those people in town are there for the game. No, most people are jetting out of town Friday or at the latest Saturday afternoon, really. Maybe they'll go to some of the Saturday night parties or taking off the morning of Super Bowl Sunday. Not many people are staying to go to the game. It's all corporate people that go to the Super Bowl, really.
Oh, yeah. And what I found out, too, And this says everything about life in America and in the 21st century is, I get to the airport to fly home Friday night, and as soon as I get there and I get my ticket, the flight's delayed 3 hours. Now it's not leaving for another 2 hours, and I got my information from the only reliable source in an airport, which is the bartender, who says, "Oh yeah, they ground all the commercial flights because all the private jets are coming in."
Yeah, you're right.
Well, fuck us, I guess. You know what I mean? So every flight here is going to have 300 like regular middle class people on it, but we can just stick it up our ass because the beautiful people have to fly in. That says everything about the Super Bowl.
I was one of those people one time to where this physical therapy company that I did a lot of stuff with, they were all super cool dudes. They were going to Indianapolis when the Super Bowl was there. And so they said, "Hey, we have this big tailgate we throw. We're going to have a big bus right outside the stadium, catered, all this. Would you come?" And I'm thinking, man, I don't really want to go, but I love these guys. They said, the CEO is flying on his plane. He'll come pick you guys up in Columbus. So I thought, okay, yeah, I'm not going to say no to that one. So he picked us up, and just flying into the whatever airport it was right there on his private, it was like a 7 or 8 seater. It was awesome. Just flying in, I think we had to like divert and hang out and wait to get in line with all the planes coming in. This was the day of the game too, Sunday morning. And after the game, we sprinted to the airport and waited in line for all these private jets to get their window to take off. So it's an absolute mess of a situation. And I mean, you're right, but so John Travolta and Tom Cruise and Beyonce can get their private planes out. All the other commercial flights get backed up.
Right, exactly. And then, God forbid, you drive a 8-cylinder car, you get nagged at by these same friggin' celebrities because you're destroying the environment. Okay, sure, but come on in on your Gulfstream and leave me, drinking in an airport at $9 beer day for.
If you can afford it, if I can afford it, I would love to be a part of those people. Are you kidding me? You know how different your life would be if you could fly private on a regular basis? Can you imagine?
Oh, I would. Oh God, yeah. I'd be. You don't watch superhero movies, but I'd be like Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. I'd have like flight attendants on stripper poles and champagne that had just come out of like an electronic cooler on the side of the plane. I get it. But that's
did I hear is Marky Mark giving the pregame speech Saturday night for the Patriots?
You know what? Marky Mark has got a lot to answer for, and it's amazing how often he's come up this season on this podcast. He gave an interview the other day where he said, yeah, he thinks the Patriots are going to win, but if the Eagles win, that's fine with him too, because he once played one in a movie because he was in Invincible. So therefore, wait, like the hottest places in hell are reserved for people who don't take a stand in a crisis. The Super Bowl is a crisis. You can't play it both ways. Have you seen what Stallone has been doing on his Instagram? It's phenomenal. He's taken old scenes from his movies like over the top, and he's putting like himself as like the Eagles and the guy that whose ass he's kicking in Patriots gear and stuff. That's how a celebrity's supposed to go, Marky Mark. But who knows? The Patriots fall behind by halftime. He's probably going to hide behind his kid and bail again. And if they win, he's still going to drop the banner.
That's the thing. His jet will be one of those guys in line. He'll get out early because if they're losing in the third or fourth quarter, he's going to take off early. But if they win, he's going to stay the night. So it all depends.
Is he really the guy that people think represents Boston? I feel like when I talk to guys from out of state, he's always the first person.
I mean, I don't, because I know you and I pay attention, but the casual viewing public that watches things and watches Tom Brady's propaganda Facebook documentary, they 100% believe that Marky Mark is the face of the Patriots in Boston.
And I guess I don't see it, but then you know what? Now that I think of it, he was in Ted. In Ted he plays the consummate masshole. Like I know a million guys like him. I probably am a guy like the guy he played in that. But you can't just because I once played an eagle in a movie say you're fine with the Patriots losing. You once also took a red Solo cup into Tom Brady's bedroom in Ted 2 to get some baby batter so that your bear could have a child.
Did you
like
really?
That to me, it's
hilarious.
I didn't see
Head 2, I did not watch.
Oh, it was actually Brady. It's a great scene. You can even just check
So
the YouTube where they lift back the cover.
Tom Jackson's meat into a red Solo cup for Mark?
They were gonna do it, and they pull back the
Oh.
covers, and like there's this glow, like out of the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. It's like, look at that. Oh my God, that's it. Rest. And then they jump off the balcony, he throws the bear at him, and he goes, "Oh my God, John, did you see that? Perfect spiral." It's a great scene, but I think if you're going to pretend to be Tom Brady's best friend, if you're going to be on the field after they beat the Seahawks going, "You're the best, you're the greatest of all time," I think you owe it to him to stick around when he's down 28-3. That's my only beef, and you can't play it both ways. But anyway, I wanted to ask you, as a guy who's been at the Super Bowl, what's it like for a player? Because it seems to me like it's lots of chaos thrown into a week where coaches try to keep the same routine you've had since football's been played, but then the NFL makes you do all this dog and pony show stuff. Does that affect anything, or is that just something like you have a laugh with it?
It doesn't affect it too much because now they call it opening night. It used to be media day when I was there. Yeah. Now it's this opening night situation, primetime deal. Was that on NFL Network? Where did they show that? You know?
I don't know if other networks carried it too, but I was watching on NFL Net.
Okay. I watched the clips of whatever, and once I think Wednesday or Thursday, once Thursday comes, like Thursday morning, you basically switch up when you're available to the media with the Super Bowl. At least when we were there, we would come down you have the Tuesday, I think we had our media day. Wednesday morning, you come down, you sit like in this ballroom type thing in the hotel, and there's podiums for certain guys, and you talk to the media for 30, 45 minutes before you, like in between your meetings basically. And then once that happens though, there's no more media obligations the rest of the day. Thursday morning, I think you do the same thing, and then that's your last media obligation. So Friday, there's no, at least when I was there, you were done with all of the media obligations you had. So they try to let it die down. But now once you get done with that, honestly, other than just logistics of busing to practice, coming back to the hotel, there's side doors and stuff. They take you in. There's people hanging out, but they try to rope it off as much as possible at the team hotels. It's not crazy. Once the end of the week comes and it dies down, they really the coaches try to make it as normal of a week as you can, but it's still tough.
See, it's another one of these things too, where the NFL is trying to basically script it as much as they could. I feel like it used to just be, okay, here's a big arena, here's a big convention hall. Some guys have podiums, some guys don't. And then the craziness came in around it. The chick in the wedding dress trying to propose to Tom Brady or whatever. I was there. I met my heroes, my spirit animals, Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir, figure skating legends and America's sweethearts. But this time around, now it's become this thing where, okay, we're going to have the two quarterbacks, and we're going to have the two defensive captains, and they're going to have to come up on stage and stand here for a while with the trophy and have this weird, awkward interaction. And then they're going to get introduced, and we're going to see them backstage before they get introduced or whatever. And it just seems like typical of the NFL, where they've got to sit there and say, you know what, this is already working, but let's fix something that isn't broken or whatever. Did you get a podium, by the way?
Yeah, I did. And there's some stupid pictures that they make you take. And yeah, I did the podium at the media day. It was Tuesday, I believe. Ours was at the stadium. We had to wear our jerseys and everything. Now they give them these nice pullovers. It was freezing, I remember, for ours inside in Dallas, because it was snowing outside, and they didn't have the dome open, but it just was cold. Yeah, it's different. You're right. The NFL will step in, and it was always a kind of crazy. But you're right. The craziness started that way, to where it just kind of organically happened. And like anything else in life, when you try to create that and create this crazy, weird, wild thing, everyone knows what to expect, and they're kind of on guard for it. And it feels weird. It feels manufactured now that it's like a movie premiere red carpet deal where. You're right. When you have the other team and Tom's coming out in double black gloves again, and then he comes out in his right-handed black glove. I think he's just messing with people now.
Yeah. Were there people like in costumes and shit when you were there?
Oh yeah, man. I got some trophy, some pop culture. Who was it? some people from like Entertainment Tonight or whatever were asking guys different pop culture questions. I think I was the only one that got 7 out of 7, got some trophy they gave to me. I knew all of them. It was weird. It's a weird day, no question about it. But now I think you like know who those crazies are, and they try to pilfer it out as well. And how did Portnoy get in? Did he have to sneak in? Did he get credentials? What happened?
Well, no, because I saw him on one of the radio shows broadcasts, like on TV, like they simulcasted, and they were interviewing him. He had to stand outside the railing, so he was like 3 feet away
Really?
from them with the headphones
how did
and the microphone.
he got
up, and
into
he couldn't cross over?
But he got into media day.
How did he get into media day? That's a great question. And if he explained how it is, I don't know, because the NFL, if people don't know, banned Barstool last year, and Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio called it the biggest story of Super Bowl week, that Roger Goodell said he didn't know who we are, but took the step of banning us. And it's a thought I couldn't get out of my head in April when I was getting past Secret Service to go on the grounds of the White House for the Patriots visit. And I'm going, wait, so I can be walking around on the South Lawn where the nuclear codes are, but Roger Goodell wouldn't let Barstool walk around on media day asking stupid questions next to some guy dressed as Cookie Monster or whatever. It's like the most hypocritical thing in the world. You know what's not hypocritical?
What?
Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the leading meal delivery kit service in the United States. And while many people don't know what they do, they don't know what types of meals they eat or can cook with Blue Apron. Trust me, you want to know this. This stuff comes right to your door in a refrigerated box. It could not be easier. You can get meals like strip steaks with potatoes and spicy maple collard greens, which is a steakhouse-inspired favorite with delicious twist, chili-infused maple syrup. They have incredible ingredients and chef-designed recipes. Blue Apron lets you see what the power of food can do. This week, I got catfish fillets with green peppercorns, and I cooked steaks with a pepper aioli. That the steaks were like, if you humanely slaughtered a unicorn and cooked it, that's how tender these things were. It was the best steaks I've ever made. And you don't have to know how to cook. Everything comes, it's prepackaged, it's exactly measured. It goes step by step. If you're a complete, like, useless klutz in the kitchen, you can become a gourmet chef thanks to Blue Apron. Blue Apron is now treating Laces Out listeners to $30 off your first order if you visit blueapron.com/laces. And you can order these kits for 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people. They have different meals every single week. So check out this week's menu and get $30 off at blueapron.com/laces. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. I want to ask you too about the before we get into the game, the stuff that you have to deal with before you head off to the Super Bowl. And this is one of those, I know a guy who knows a guy's story, but someone was talking to one of the Patriots who told him it's a nightmare of epic proportions trying to deal with the arrangements and the tickets. I guess guys get 7 tickets or something, which is a really weird number.
You don't get 7. You get the opportunity to buy 7 tickets for like $1,900 a piece.
They don't see, I was under the impression they at least gave you the 7. No, so they have an allotment of 7 that you can buy. Wow.
0 free tickets, 7 or 9, and their like face value was $1,800, I think, at the time, and only maybe 2 or 4 of them were actually decent seats. The rest were top row.
Oh my God! And so this guy was telling a story about everybody he's ever met in his life coming at him from all directions, looking for freebies, basically. And then when you get the tickets to them, there's some people that just expect you to fly them out there too. What was your experience like?
That happens for a lot of people. I'm lucky to where, I mean, I have a big extended family. I mean, I have 2 older brothers, my parents, my in-laws. So I was able to work enough angles to get a couple extra tickets. And by get a couple extra, I mean pay for them, pay thousands of dollars for extra tickets, maybe 3 or 4. But you're right. People definitely will send texts. Hey, man, like, I'm very lucky. A lot of people are not as lucky as me. No one expected me to fly them out there to Dallas or fly them down there. But they definitely, I got a lot of texts. Hey, I know it's tough. I understand. But if there's any way, I'll pay for them. Let me know if you have any extra. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to take care of my immediate family alone to get them in the stadium. that's what I was trying to do, and I was able to. But it's tough, man, to figure all that out, and to try to get extra tickets are almost impossible because they're already guys that aren't going to use all their 9 are trying to make some cash, some extra cash, and sell them to their teammates, or B, they've already promised them to somebody else. It's really tough. You have to act quick. That's why it's good to have 2 weeks between the championship game and the Super Bowl. You can take a few days, but it doesn't matter. Up until like the night before the game, you guys will be getting texts. Hey, I don't know. If you got any extras, let me know. I'm willing to pay. And then you tell them how much they are, and like, well, okay, never mind. I was just hoping to get them for free.
Now, how long does this go on for? Like, because I've heard them, like with the Patriots especially, talking about, okay, you've got a day to work on this arrangement, and it's right after the championship game or whatever. But does this go on all week where you just constantly getting bombarded?
Yeah, no doubt. And different guys getting a lot bombarded more than others. Everyone's heard the horror stories about why a lot of professional athletes go broke, and a huge reason is because of all the hanger-ons and your family. Right. Certain guys have family members that just take advantage of them and are getting salaries for nothing and have a title. Like, oh, he runs my foundation. What's your foundation? Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't really have one yet. Oh, but you've been paying this guy $80,000 a year to run your foundation for the last 3 years. And then guess what? When you're done playing in the NFL and you don't have those checks coming in, he still expects his $80,000 a year. Like that's what makes guys go bankrupt.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because it reminds me of and hearing this guy tell the story. It was just like the best 30 for 30 they ever did, the one called Broke. And I just think that should be like mandatory viewing for, I mean, not just any athlete, but anyone who gets out of college and gets a good job or whatever, because, people tell stories about guys that they barely ever met before, meeting them at their car on payday. Like knew when NFL payday was and would stop and ask. And if you don't take care of him, they're like, oh, guy forgot where he came from, forgot his roots.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
It's tough, man. Have you ever heard Warwick Dunn tells great stories about that, to where he does awesome thing. He's building houses for. I think there's a picture of he and Deshaun Watson's family. He gifted Deshaun Watson's family a house back in the day when he was younger.
Oh shit!
And that's what he does. He takes care of people that maybe not have the money for it, but. He said at one point, I feel like he had to go to his family after he'd been giving him money for a long time. He was still playing, but someone got to him and said, hey, man, I want to show you like the financials. If you keep this up, it's going to drain you. It already is. And he had to cut him off. I think he gave him like big lump sums and said, hey, this is it for the rest of the time. Like, I cannot keep giving you all this money. And some of his family turned against him and said, oh, they forgot where you came from. We talked about this when you were a young kid. If anyone ever makes it, whoever it may be, they take care of everybody. And he's like, believe me, I've taken more than enough care of you people. And look at where it's getting me. I'm going to be broke if I continue on this path. So it's brutal. I feel for guys that have to deal with that, man. And it happens all the time. My wife she's still friends with a lot of wives around the league. And it's something, especially guys that are married, it's a tough struggle between a lot of times the family of the guy and the wife, because the wife usually has to try to mitigate it and step in and say, hey, like we can't give you this much money on a consistent basis. And so it's a tough deal.
Right. You need the wife to be the bad cop to the good cop.
Sucks. What a terrible gig to be that wife, though. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I know. And let everybody hate you doing the right thing.
This young bitch steps into my boy's life and thinks she runs the show. She's only been around 2 years. I birthed him. I've been with him for 26 years. Who does she think she is? Well, take a step back and look. She cares about your boy. That's why she's trying to help, and it's a tough thing. It sucks.
She doesn't want the kids to be broke. She doesn't want the kids going to friggin' community college after his career is over. And the guys I think about in this equation too are like the bottom of the roster guys, the bubble guys. Some undrafted rookie, defensive tackle, and you could be out of the league by training camp of next year, and the NFL bequeaths you the right to spend $2,000 on 7 tickets with money that you're not probably going to have in 3.5 years or whatever. It's insane. Like, and I think probably ruins it too. And then we should get into the game is in college, right? Don't they fly out like your entire family to like a bowl game? Isn't that part of the deal?
Maybe now. Not when I was in school. No
really
way.
Like Tostitos didn't fly your fiance
Come
out
on,
to like
that's
the
got to be
Fiesta Bowl?
illegal. That's got to be highly illegal if that was the case. No, they did not.
Because we know the NCAA would never do anything that would in any way
nah.
give
You need to have
favoritism to athletes.
what guys need to have. I'm sure what guys do now is they have their, because once that bowl game's over, if you're going to the draft, if you're a senior or you're going to be draft eligible and you're leaving, you can sign with an agent the second, that last second, bam, that clock hits 0, you can sign with an agent right there. And a lot of guys do that night after the game. So what you need to do is, I'm sure these agents will fly their families out for them. And hopefully you would hope they wouldn't look into it and they'd cover their tracks a little bit, but who cares? Like, wow, if the NCAA is that stupid, which they are, and they looked at and they went to attack that for flying families out, then that's just another dumb thing that they do. But no, man, they teams though will have charter flights for families. I know my wife, I only had one kid at the time. Green Bay had charter flights. I think they came out on Thursday of Super Bowl week where they chartered a few where, I mean, they had to pay for their seat, but it was all family of the team.
So your family wasn't out there for any length of time, right? Just like the weekend?
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, take off
okay.
Monday.
The reason I ask is my favorite Super Bowl story of all time, and it came up in something I was writing today, was when they was down in Miami, the Falcons against Denver, and was it Vermeil got in his, or was it Reeves? Got in his head that it would be really good, a nice stabilizing influence to have the families out there. And you know where I'm going with this one. Eugene Robinson, defensive back from the Falcons, was sitting poolside with his family. The night before, he had accepted like a Man of the Year award for all the good works that he had done in the community. And he tells the missus and the kids, he's going to be right back. He's just going to go run an errand or something. And got popped on South Beach soliciting a undercover cop posed as a prostitute. And it's just my favorite story of all time. And then he got burned for like an 80-yard touchdown in the game. You know why it's my favorite story? He did. He got arrested, and his teammates came to his defense saying, "Oh man, you know that was happening all week, but he's the one who got caught." Like, okay, not the defense you want to have, but that was just the coach having a great idea that, you know, mixing the family into the equation is going to be the thing that's going to keep us focused, and that was a recipe for a blowout. You know why that's my favorite story? Because I'm a terrible, flawed human being. That's why. Because my mind
I think Eugene, he's more relatable, right? Is that why?
So, yeah. Well, I mean, not that I solicit prostitutes, you know. And if you do, kids, ask them first if they're a police officer. That's an old rule of thumb. They can't lie to you about that. But I wouldn't know.
That first off, that's got to be false, right? What is it? Entrapment? If they say they're not, that can't hold up.
I don't know, because why wouldn't everybody just? Of course, why would anyone go to a prostitute? By the way, I don't like handling a public doorknob. You know what I mean? I'm weird about shaking another guy's hand because I figure he's probably the guy who doesn't wash his hands in the bathroom. I can't imagine putting parts of me into parts of some young lady and I'm her 15th client of the night. That is such a deal breaker.
Jerry, I think prostitutes and escorts are probably at an all-time high now because of guys are scared to death of sexual harassment and sexual assault charges, and they know this is a professional transaction. I will pay her. Bam, we're done, and then that's it. She's not going to tell their significant other. She's not going to snitch on you as long as you pay him enough. Warren Sapp, he got busted at the Super Bowl a couple years ago because he didn't want to pay the second girl $300 or something. But I think it happens. College kids get busted every once in a while, and I think a big reason is they scare them to death about consent from girls in school, to where they don't really know what consent is. They don't want to get busted, even if it's a consensual situation. If the girl says something, that I think guys are just scared, so it's probably happening a lot more than we know, Jerry.
Oh, and a Super Bowl week, when the whole world is coming into town and all the aforementioned high rollers in their jets, I'm sure. I've just always assumed that, you know, any prostitute with the airfare is going to be heading into town like that.
They don't even need it, though. Now guys don't even. I would think you don't need prostitutes when they have Tinder and everything else, and they can show them that they're in the area or whatever. That's basically what that app is. You just don't have to exchange money. Just buy them dinner, probably.
but they also do it online too. For maybe the gentleman who's not quite as attractive, maybe he's not as his Tinder game doesn't have
Good point.
the
Great
tools
point.
necessary to make it happen. Why Warren Sapp can't get it for free, I have no idea. But if he's in Minnesota, and I pray for the safety of all the women there that he's not, ladies, just be careful, get paid up front, because have you met him? I've heard from, I met him briefly at Media Day, and he was a dick to me, but I've heard from people who have really spent time in his presence that he's like the worst human being that's ever been involved in football.
I don't know if I've met him or not. I can't remember if I have, but I've heard similar situations, even from guys from the U, from Miami, even saying they didn't have the best interactions with Warren. And now but with his situation, man, like we see the video of him he's getting interrogated basically after they picked him up. He hired a couple prostitutes after the Super Bowl, I guess Sunday night, and it was honestly over like $300 where he didn't want to pay the second girl. Saying, I didn't know, I'm not paying you. I didn't agree to that. I'm like, Warren, it's $300. You're throwing your whole. He was making like $800,000 or $900,000 a year working for NFL Network, and he's throwing it away because his ego won't let him pay this girl who he feels like doesn't deserve $300. I'm like, man, you need to think that through a little bit.
Yeah, and take a look at yourself, Warren, and decide if maybe she deserves a tip. I'm thinking 20% on top of everything else. So anyway, everyone be careful out there. It's a nightmare, and there's men like him out there. So the game, I guess we look at it in chunks or whatever. The shorthand that everyone's saying is that, it's Nick Foles against Tom Brady. They can't possibly win. I wish I could see it like that. I don't know if you've picked up on this, AJ, but I lean towards the Patriots in general. Have a favorable opinion of the Pats in general, and I think this game is a nightmare for them.
Why? Now we all know that you are a heavy Patriots ball washer. Why are you anxious, I guess, heading into the game?
Because this is a good Eagles team. I don't know what Nick Foles is. Nobody does. I don't know if he's the one that we saw against Minnesota 2 weeks ago. I don't know if he's the one who crapped himself at the end of the season. But in the trenches, I think they have a big advantage on both sides of the ball. The defensive line, everyone talks about how good and deep they are, and that's true. Also, the stuff that they do. I mean, maybe we can get into schemes a little bit, but the different looks that they give when they'll move Brandon Graham to the inside next to Fletcher Cox, and and good luck blocking those guys with guards and centers. And offensive line. Sometimes I'll reference Pro Football Focus, and I know that not everybody believes everything that they say, but their analytics told them that the Eagles have the best offensive line in football, even though they lost their left tackle. So I just think if you're losing both battles in the trenches, a lot of things can go wrong that will not that have nothing to do with the fact that you have a big edge at quarterback. Am I just
no
paranoid?
question? That's what can mitigate that edge at quarterback if you can put pressure on Tom Brady. Go back to Von Miller when the Broncos beat him in the AFC Championship game. Tom, it's like anyone. It's so cliche to say, but it's right. Like, if he doesn't have any time to throw the ball, he's not going to beat Tom Brady. He can't. Nobody in the world can operate at a super high level if they're getting consistent pressure on him all day long. Now, the Eagles look like they can do that because they have the talent and the guys that they can get that push up the middle so Tom can't step into every throw. Even if you're not getting sacks and so-called pressures every single play, if you can get a consistent push up the middle to where Tom doesn't feel super comfortable stepping into each throw, at some point there's going to be a couple balls that are thrown, they sail high, they're underthrown, they're behind a guy just because of all that consistent pressure up the middle. And then if you can find a way to get around the edge and get a few sacks, especially any kind of turnover is gigantic for Philly as a defense, give the ball back to Foles and try to run the ball. That's the recipe. The question is, can you execute it? I don't know. They have the guys to do it. I like Schwartz, their defensive coordinator, and what they do. I want to see how they match up with Gronk. It looks like Malcolm Jenkins will be on him a lot. Malcolm is really, really good, but no matter who you put on Gronk, It is a mismatch. We all know that. And we'll see how much they lean to Gronk to where they high-low him, they double cover him a little bit. I don't know how much they're going to do with that. Maybe they'll see how Malcolm is doing early on in the game, and if Malcolm's doing a decent job, then they probably won't have to double him a whole lot. I think every time they get into the red zone, you're definitely going to have a guy over top of him and underneath, and you need to make sure Gronk's not the guy beating you. But they have so many different weapons. Look at how Amendola has stepped up lately. It's crazy to see how Tom Brady sees the field, but he needs that time. If he has that time, he can see the field, and so it's on the offensive and defensive line, like old school, stupid, cliche football coach talk. That's basically what it is.
Right, and it's that middle pressure that scares me more than the edge pressure. Nate Solder isn't all that highly thought of around here, but that's the life of a left tackle. No one notices him when he has a clean game, but gives up one sack, and it's the end of the world. But I think he's really good at taking that pressure off the edge and pushing a guy deep because he's massive. He's 6'8", and his reach is about 10 yards by itself. It's that middle pressure, and that's what the Giants did to them in the 2 Super Bowls that shall not be named. It was they just dominated them inside, even though they had like Logan Mankins, who is one of the best guards they've ever had. And so, like, what do you do when a team? And this is I'm asking AJ, the middle linebacker, but when a team can put 2 ends inside the line, do you slide your offensive line so that you're blocking these guys with a tackle? Do you bring a tight end in and in motion and block them that way? Like, is there?
You mean when they take guys, when they bring guys
like
that
Brandon
are
Graham? Yeah, you've got Graham and Cox now right next to each other. Each ISO'd on a guard. The center can only double one of them. So, like, what can an offensive line do? Is there ways to scheme around that?
Yeah, there's definitely ways to scheme. You can get a back to help. That's the thing. If they can get these wide, Schwartz was doing this back when he was in Detroit. They call it like a wide 9. If you remember back in the day,
yeah.
Kyle Vanden Bosch, one of my favorite football players of all time, just absolutely nuts, and probably had the best motor in the history of NFL football, how hard that dude played. But they get these wide 9s, and when you do that, they'll put guys like that on the guards, and the guards have to win a one-on-one, and that's tough because if it's not all compressed down, then they're kind of on an island, and you're going to be battling all day long against these guys. So you're right. You could try to motion. You don't want to waste Gronk in protection that much, though. That's the thing. He can come in and be a big body if they really need some time to try to help, but you want him down the field and throwing those balls that he goes and makes catches no one else can. So you can try to get some help, but ultimately, Belichick's going to have to tell them, and they know, like, hey, guys, we're going to have to win our one-on-ones this game. We really are. And on the flip side, Philly's guys and Schwartz is telling his people, hey, you're going to have opportunities to get one-on-ones, and we need to win more than we lose. And when we win, we need to get there and make an impact. It can't just be Tom gets rid of the ball and throws it out of bounds. We need to create turnovers. We need to create high throws that we can intercept. And can they win those one-on-ones and make an impact with it is the question.
Yeah, is the Eagles' defense that good? I want to say they were third in points allowed, but they were close to the Patriots.
They give up about the same amount of points as the Patriots. I think they both give up a little over 18 points, but they're really good stopping the run. They're under 80 yards, I believe, against the run all year. That's also at times that can be a kind of a weird stat because they were ahead in a lot of games. When you're ahead, teams have to throw the ball.
Right.
So that's also another thing. They may not have as many rush attempts. I haven't looked at the stats. I'm sure people that are all in on both these teams know. But yeah, they're really good stopping the run, and they can get some pressure, and they can get that pressure up the middle, and they have all of it. But you got to win the one-on-ones outside as well, man. I don't know Hogan, Cooks, Amendola, Gronk. I think one of those guys is gonna be open. They're gonna win. They're gonna win their matchup throughout each play, and so can Tom find them.
Yeah, if I can geek out a little bit, what the hell? It's our podcast. We'll do whatever the hell we want. I know that Schwartz is he's a single high safety guy, meaning they're always going to be in cover 1 or they're going to be in cover 3. It's either going to be, one safety with the corners playing man, or he's going to have the corners and the safety split the field in 3 parts. That to me means that there's going to be a lot of stuff the Patriots can have comebackers and that kind of stuff. Brandon Cooks has been phenomenal at that. Like, I thought he was just a burner, but his ability to run a corner off and then come back on the ball has been a revelation this year. And I think Brady loves to do that. I think they have the patience to, if those 8 and 9 yard plays are available all game long, they don't feel like they need to take a shot. But then eventually you do enough of that, then you get like a double move or something. That's what I'm hoping. And another thing is the Patriots play more out of base sets than anybody, meaning with James Devlin as the fullback. And it sounds ludicrous to say James Devlin's going to be a key to this game, but they'll put him out there and then get a team ready to stop the run and then spread them out. I mean, I've seen him go out wide. A guy with a neck roll outside the numbers with a cornerback.
They'll put him as like, that's what's great. And McDaniels is great to where, and early on in the game, I'm sure you'll see they'll motion out to empty formation, nobody in the backfield, and Devlin could be be the number one receiver out there outside the numbers. And you're thinking, why? And trust me, he's not really an option. He's just out there. They want to see how Philly is going to match up with him out there at number one. And you hope that they have some miscommunication and all of a sudden one of Philly's corners is sitting out there on Devlin, because then you waste one of your best corners on a guy that's not even really a threat in the passing game. So Philly's not dumb, though. They're not going to do that if more than once if it does happen. So you're right. I don't know, though. Can the Patriots run on Philly? Do you think they can chunk a few run plays out of them?
You know what? My first reaction is to say no. It's not going to be the game plan, but I think if I'm Philly, I'm not expecting that. And the Patriots have this way of always doing opposite. And Dion Lewis is a guy that I don't think really gets enough attention, even from Pats fans who go, oh, yeah, he's good. He's good. No, he led the league in rushing the second half of the year on a team that doesn't run all that much. His ability to make people miss is insane, but he also breaks tackles better than I ever imagined from a guy his size. And on top of it, he's got that knack for when you are bringing him down, he always falls forward for an extra yard and a half or 2 yards. You know, if I'm pulling for the Eagles, I think the guy I'm most worried about is Doug Peterson.
Why? You love Doug?
I don't think he's ready in the moment. And I've seen him before, and it was a couple of years ago when he was the coordinator under Andy Reid for Kansas City. And Pats were up 14 with like about 6.5 to go. And Kansas City went on this long, sustained drive where they just let the clock go down. Like they were running 25 seconds off the clock. It ended up being about a 5-minute drive to nowhere. I mean, they eventually got in the end zone, but by that time they had burned their timeouts. They had eaten up way too much of the clock, and the Pats were just taking a knee at the end. And they asked him about it afterwards. And he said, well, we didn't want to give Tom Brady the ball back with very much time. You're down 2 scores. Like everyone's sitting there going, are we watching the same game as him? So what's your opinion of Peterson overall? I mean, he's in the Super Bowl. I should give him credit, but I just don't think he's ready for the moment.
Yeah, he may not be. This is going to be his true test. It really is. I can't see it being a blowout. It's tough for the Super Bowl to ever be a blowout, although it does happen, and it has happened recently a little bit. I don't know. I think the jury's still out on Peterson. He's doing a great job with the main thing a head coach does is he sets the culture for the team. And we see him. We talk about it on here. These hype videos they have night before games, week of the Super Bowl, they're dancing in the locker room. Like there's something to that. That camaraderie, that fun they're having. They're staying loose. They know that they're doing what got them there. But I don't know. I think this is going to be the true test with Peterson because believe it, say what you want. When you blow a team out like they did the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game, you don't really learn a whole lot about how that coach is going to handle adversity, what he's going to do in those moments when you have to make those 1 or 2 key calls that kind of set the fate of that franchise and whether they can win the Super Bowl or not. He's done well throughout the season with that, and he's done an amazing job what they've done with Carson Wentz and then moving right on to Nick Foles. But we'll see now that the Super Bowl has come, and we didn't really learn a whole lot in the NFC Championship other than they're a great team. They know how to turn the ball over. They know how to score points. Bam. Let's see what happens when this is the biggest moment, biggest stage of their life. How are you going to handle those few moments? Because Belichick is known to handle those moments pretty damn well.
Sure. And if I'm an Eagles fan, and only by the grace of God am I not, love you guys. They buy T-shirts too. That I'm putting my hopes on the running backs. I think the Patriots are vulnerable there, and between Blunt, who I respect the hell out of what he can do, and then Jay Ajayi gives him a change of pace, and then the guy who kind of gets overlooked is Clement, who I think is just a terrific third option, and you've got enough there that you can mix and match and get the Patriots in a look, and then decide whether we're going to pound Blunt or go for the smaller guys, and if they stay close with them, and Blunt stays in the game, because like you said, if they get up by a few, now you get away from the running game and you're putting the game in the hands of Nick Folk. If they can stay close, and I feel like they're gonna, then I think the running backs literally could win this game.
No question. Yeah. Are they going to try to pound it early? I was doing an interview last night with somebody and said, what are you most looking forward to seeing in this game? And I said, you know what? I want to see what happens the first drive for Philadelphia. You have a loose script of your first 15 a lot of times. What you're going to – they have an idea of the plays that they're going to call. I want to see what their plan is, man. I want to see if they think they can pound the ball on the Patriots and if they have any success in that first drive of doing so. Because if they do have success running the ball, then Matt Patricia, the D coordinator for New England, who is going to be the next Lions head coach, is going to have to do some things, bring some guys down in the box to stop the run. Does that open up the passing game for Nick Foles? We all heard about the RPOs that they're going to run, and he does a good job doing it. That's kind of a pain in the ass as a coordinator and as a defense when they have all these RPOs that a lot of these college teams run and you don't see them that much. It really is a pain in the ass to try to figure out what your responsibilities are on each play. Do I have the run? Do I have the dive? My quarterback, what are we doing in the pass game? It is kind of a pain in the ass, and that's why it's good they've had 2 weeks to work on it.
How much does the experience matter? I mean, you've been to one. Was it unlike any game you've ever been in, or is it just friggin' football? I mean, and I'm talking about all the ancillary stuff that the pregame goes on forever, and then you're waiting around, and there's commercial timeouts, and this halftime show is 45 minutes or whatever. Does that matter?
No, I don't think it plays a big role. But I think where it can play a role is if, let's say Philly gets up early, like what Jacksonville was, right? And then all of a sudden you're thinking, once the game starts, it's a game. It's a Super Bowl, but it's a game. You're just playing. But if you jump out to an early lead, if you're Philadelphia, that's where I think not having the experience could hurt you a little bit, depending on play calling. Are you just going to get scared to death? Oh, this is Super Bowl. We're winning. We can feel the victory. You can start to let your mind wander into thinking, wow, we could win. I'm going to go to the parade and chug beers like Gronk did. It's going to be amazing. And you can almost get too protective, and it would be it's a weird feeling, especially if you have the lead. That's where I think your inexperience can hurt you. And I want to see what Doug Peterson does and what the Eagles will do as a team in general. Are you just going to sit back and let Tom Brady carve you up, or are you going to still come after him and try to put the hammer down and take the game over and just make it a blowout? That's where I think your inexperience will come into play. What do you do when you have the lead? We've seen so many teams, and you hear all the people freak out. Well, we get up by 10 points, we run this prevent defense. Well, it's not really prevent, bud, but you're trying to keep everything in front of you and not give up a big play that would blow the game open. And a lot of times, a guy like Tom Brady just carves those defenses up.
Yeah, I think too. I think Philly's gonna want to take shots upfield, and that's where I think is a Patriot strength. I mean, yeah, Zach Ertz is a terrific tight end, but Pat Chung is. I want to say he's given up 23 catches to tight ends this year, and he's been in coverage on him forever. But also Gilmore. Gilmore's great in man coverage, and I think he matches up with Alshon Jeffrey and takes that away. And then it's Butler against Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith, though, worries me because he's got a history against the Patriots. He's played them 5 times, and every time he's averaged over 20 yards a catch in all 5 games. So that's a concern. But their secondary is next to Brady, the strength of the team, and they've stayed healthy all year. So, hey, I wanted to ask you, who was the halftime show when you were in it?
Fergie and the Fergie and the Black Eyed Peas, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. That was a particularly good one. Was that one of those ones where they threw Bruno Mars in there too? Like it seems like whenever they have
I don't know if they did.
an act that they don't think can fill the whole show, Bruno Mars is always just like hanging out, ready to go on.
Throw him in. I don't know if my wife said it was good. I didn't see it. I don't think I went back and watched it. I saw Fergie and her husband walking in the tunnel afterwards. They broke up though. R.I.P. to their relationship. Josh Duhamel. They broke up. You know that, Jared?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was the Packers were a tough act for them to follow. Really, I mean that was probably the highlight of their relationship, and it went downhill from there. I recently rewatched Lady Gaga last year, and decided that that's the second best halftime show of all time.
Who's number one?
U2. U2, I think, set the bar really high.
Really? What about Michael Jackson back in the day? Michael Jackson, I watched back when the Super Bowl it wasn't really what it is now. Michael Jackson was pretty legit. I don't even know what year it was. I watched it on YouTube a while back.
Yeah, this was after he started to get the allegations about him and the kids, though, too, I think, right? Or was it?
No, I think it was
might have been
before.
Then, yeah, he became toxic.
It was like early 90s. But U2, the thing about the Super Bowl, though, it's like Coldplay showed that, and I like Coldplay, but they're not a halftime act. This isn't time for musicians and real legit bands. It's a spectacle. That's why Lady Gaga, with her pre-recorded jump off the top of the stadium, that's why makes sense. That's why Timberlake is probably perfect for the Super Bowl. I understand why they have him. Who's he gonna bring in though? That's my question. Who does Timberlake have on stage?
He denied that it was going to be an NSYNC reunion, and I know that's disappointing
man.
to you. You're a big boy band guy.
I'm a big Joey Fatone. Joey Fatone's my guy.
There's prop bets about whether Janet Jackson makes an appearance. I can't imagine that. Like the NFL is still reeling from that. And by the way, that was something that I didn't even see it happen. It was halftime. I was in my buddy's next room shooting pool like a grown man. And the next day I go to watch coverage of the game, and it was wall to wall Janet Jackson's nipple with it was, kind of one of the first things that really established social media. Like people have pointed to that and said that was a thing, like we started to realize how people react to things in time and how things trend instantly. And then the pictures started coming out of that big nipple medallion she had that looked like the headpiece for the staff of Ra and Raiders of the Lost Ark and crap. And the next year they brought in Paul McCartney, I think, just to say, all right, America, there'll be no nipples. He's in his 60s. He was knighted by the Queen. Beatles don't show their areola. You're going to be safe. You can watch this again with your kid.
I think.
But see, I liked U2 though, because it was on another level. It was like a 9/11 tribute, and they put these like giant curtains up, and they scrolled the names of the 3,000 people. So I know not exactly typical halftime show fare, but I thought for the mood that everybody was in right then, it was perfect. Plus, they're a great band.
I think Timberlake's going to pull his. I think he's going to pull his dong out.
You know what? America deserves to see it. It's 2018 by now. Would anyone have that much problem by our sensibilities? We've grown a lot in the however many years it was.
He should set it up though. I would. Who was doing the game? Is it NBC?
Yes.
So I think he should work with NBC and be like, hey man, so this is what's going to happen. Bam! I'm going to pull my pants down, pull my dong out. I'll let you blur it. But I need the blur to go down past my knee. Like, oh my goodness, did you see? They had the 5-second delay on, so they got the blur in there. But man, Timberlake's dong was past his kneecap, and that's what I would do if I was him.
I'm gonna have my dong out by the time I finish this song. Boom, and then drop, and then lights come out.
Bam. Speaking of that, Jer, we all know the Super Bowl is here. It's time to cash in big, and win the game, and bet on everything you can at mybookie.ag. If you haven't checked them out, it's a perfect weekend. Get into the action. If you have a hunch of who's going to win the coin toss, what color Gatorade the winning coach will be wearing, if there's a nipple gate again or dong gate, as we just talked about, could happen, you can log on now, check out the props, and get in on the action. Just don't watch the game. Lay down some money and be a part of it. Join me and thousands of online players and start betting at mybookie.ag. MyBookie is the industry-leading online sports book. Its players enjoy the fastest payouts in the business when they want. I would only recommend a service that's been good to me and our listeners and Pat and Jerry. Excuse me. That's why I urge you to make your way to my bookie. You win, they pay without any hassles. You're wasting your time betting anywhere else. They even have in-game live betting, so you can place a bet after kickoff. I'm sure if you get all your props out there and you bet the coin toss, you bet if Belichick's wearing a hoodie, you can be upset if you lose those props. Keep going at it, I guess, the whole rest of the game. You can probably bet commercials, all the terrible commercials that I'm sure you're taping, Jerry. You're recording so you can go over the next day and talk to at local radio.
Yeah, not a huge commercial guy. I really am not. I hate to be that guy, but I've always been more interested in the game, no matter who's in it, than the commercials. And plus, don't they all just kind of fall into about 3 categories now? It's all either the dumb guy, like, falls out a window because he'd rather have the beer than the girl or whatever. There's going to be the cute animals. And then there's going to be the one that's meant to, like, tug at your heartstrings. I miss the days when it was about sex. Like, they wanted to sell you stuff, so they had Cindy Crawford drinking a Pepsi. They had the GoDaddy.com girl. They had the Miller Lite chicks, like, wrestling in a fountain. And I know that it's you can't be doing that in 2018, but it made me pay attention when the game wasn't on. And the Dalmatian that falls in love with the horse or whatever that we're gonna see, it just doesn't.
You're right, Jared. That's why my bookie, though, if you join now and you score free cash to place your Super Bowl wager on the house. Right now, my bookie is giving away up to $1,000 to every new player. Sign up today to score an instant 50% bonus on your first deposit. That's right. If you join with $100, you'll get a $150 bankroll to play with. Use promo code LACES to activate the offer. Play, win, and get paid.
You ever watch the game with the people who talk during the game and then shush everybody to watch the commercials?
I cannot say I have, Jerry. I don't think that person would get an invite to the house.
I've been there, and look, and I'm not that guy who goes, everybody needs to be super into football. Like, no, I don't care if you're the guy who's the casual fan. I don't care if you're you bring your 12-year-old and he wants to just half watch it. That's fine with me. I'm all good. It's just the fascination for these ads that have been real letdowns lately. Except there was one last year that I actually missed in real time because it was right after the game. But the one where the car company was at an army base in Poland, and it aired immediately afterwards, where they had built this 360-degree theater in the round for the soldiers to watch the games with their families. Like, their families were at the stadium, and so there's this woman in the, like a corporal in the army or whatever, and she looks over and there's her husband virtually sitting next to her at the game holding their baby or something. I still have that on tape. Waterworks every time I see it. You want to show me some more shit like that, corporate America? Okay, I'll try to buy your products. I think it was for a car.
Commercials are the Super Bowl commercials are so played out, I feel like, by now. It reminds me of when that was big. When I was in elementary school, I think it was a thing to where people would record the commercials on old school VHS, and they would bring them in and, like, show them to my 4th grade class, and we'd vote on who was the best one or something. Like 4th grade kids. Like, my daughter, I feel like my daughter's in 1st grade, and she knows she'll be asleep by the end of the first quarter probably, but I don't think she cares about the commercials. I really don't. Are they still charging $1 billion for 30 seconds?
Yeah, and then it's become this thing where they put them out on, like, YouTube ahead of time, or they'll actually be like cable shows that just count down, like, the best Super Bowl commercials coming up. It's insane. Seriously, I just don't get the appeal. Make me laugh, show me boobage, but if you just want to, like, show me the cute animals again, yeah, I've been there. I get it. They're going to fall in love. And then the next day, oh my God, that was so good. And trust me, you'll get up on Monday morning and you'll get on the internet and every top story will be top 10 Super Bowl ads.
Well,
it's just a thing of an earlier time.
The top stories of, like, Good Morning America and the Ryan Seacrest show, that is what it will be a top story on. I doubt the stuff that you're frequenting Jerry is going to be really seriously breaking down the commercials.
What are you suggesting? What sites do you think that I'm
I'm just
on?
saying.
Wall Street Journal. I'm checking my portfolio.
I'm guessing
Barstool will be doing it. Believe me, guys will be all over that shit.
They'll have a good take on it, though. At least they'll know they're almost trolling the readers by doing it.
But it's become this mandatory thing that we all have to do, and every time people talk about it, the NFL just mills money. So the game itself, I guess before we get into who you like, here's how I think this is going to play out. I have one guarantee for this game: the Patriots don't score a point in the first quarter. They just don't. Do you know this? For 7 Super Bowls in this era, they have yet to score a point in the first quarter. The highest scoring offense during that time, and they can't get on the scoreboard.
So you're going to be let's say they drive down the score in the first drive. Are you going to be worried now?
No, because I'll take the points. I'm not one of those guys that says, "Oh, you don't want to get up too early." On the contrary, I'll take it. It's so surreal to me that, and most of these games, by the way, have been 0-0 after one. One of the exceptions being that weird Super Bowl that shall not be named Part 2 against the Giants when Tom Brady took a safety in the first quarter. That was, for real. He had an intentional grounding penalty in the end zone, and immediately you got this bad feeling. And speaking of bad feelings, that's another guarantee, is that I'm going to feel like I woke up in a trap set by Jigsaw. That's going to be my emotional state. It always is. I try to get better at this. I try to tell myself they're going to figure it out. This coaching staff, Patricia and Josh McDaniels, future head coach of the Colts, they have this patience about them, and that's too big an ask for me. Like they come out really vanilla, and then I think, are confident that they're going to figure it out. The Jacksonville game is a prime example where you're waiting for them to make an adjustment. This isn't working. You're not getting to Blake Bortles. What the hell are you doing? And then they eventually feel like in 60 minutes is enough time for them to figure it out and pull out a win. And that's excruciating. And I know I say that and no one goes, "Oh, you poor thing." Let's have a 5K to raise awareness of how hard it is for Patriots fans that you don't lead in the first quarter. But that's how it plays out every single time.
Well, good teams just hang around. They know that they're going to force the other team to make more mistakes. That's what you do. If you're a great team like the Patriots and they've been there, they've won a million times, eventually the other team's going to make a few mistakes, and they want to capitalize on that. So that's usually what a great team like that will do. That's why they don't freak out when they're down. I think that's what makes them so good. They don't lose their mind and try to press and do something that they're not supposed to. A lot of bad teams, when you get down, guys start pressing and thinking they have to do something extra, and that's when they jump out of their lane, blitzing. They try to make a play, and bam, that's when you get gassed for 70 yards.
And when you want to come up with the answers to these questions ahead of time, do you know where you go to? You go to actionnetwork.com/Super Bowl. That's the site to go to. Action Network Super Bowl betting guide will give you everything you need to know about how to bet Patriots versus Eagles. Can the Eagles cover? How important is Gronk to the point spread? Why do the wise guys in Vegas like, and why and there'll be 52 picks for 52 props, plus real-time updates on every move by bookmakers. The price of subscription for this, AJ, is only $5.20, but because you're listening to Laces Out, you can take 50% even off of that meager price with the coupon LACES52. LACES52. That's not the Roman numeral 52. That's LACES52. It's cheaper than buying a latte. So again, that's actionnetwork.com. Coupon code LACES52 for your Super Bowl betting guide and prop bets. And by the way, that is a Chernin-owned company, so you know that they are strictly legit. Will Nick Foles make mistakes? Because I feel like nobody has made mistakes against the Pats in this Super Bowl as much as I want them to. I've seen Marcus Mariota take care of the ball. I've seen Blake Bortles. Foles is playing out of his mind in ways that I didn't think possible, even back when he was, what was he under Chip Kelly? Like 27 touchdowns and like 2 picks, something insane like that. But can he just commit unforced errors because he remembers that he's Nick Foles?
we'll see. Can the Patriots force him to make those errors? If they sit back and they don't put pressure on him, then no, he's probably going to be all right, even though their secondary is really good. There's going to be a couple plays. It's like any big game. There's a couple plays that swing the game one way or the other. And when he does make that errant pass or a tipped ball, are they there to pick it off? Are they there to do they get on let's say they get a sack caused fumble? Does one of Philly's gritty O linemen jump on it, or does the Patriots D find a way to pick it up? It's always something like that, and it could even be early on where maybe doesn't seem like a big deal. Like, let's say Foles gets stripped early in the game and the center falls on the ball and think, oh man, we just avoided it. That was cool, and it's nothing. If that goes the other way, the Patriots pick it up early, get good field position, bam, score 7, get up 7-0 early on in the game. It's a huge deal, man. And so I don't know, are those little things going to have an effect? And at some point they will. Who's going to make them? I don't know. Patriots. That's when experience comes in.
I think if someone's going to, it's going to be Jay Ajayi, who's got kind of
a fumble. You
fumble
think?
Issue? Yeah, he's had fumble issues in the past.
How many carries will they give him though? That's the question.
It won't take a lot with him, but I think just because he's one of those guys who's just prone to do it. Now, having said that, there's been some great backs that were fumble prone. Adrian Peterson is like the patron saint of that. And I'm not putting Ajayi in his category by any stretch, but he's just a guy that I think there's an opportunity to punch the ball out with him that there isn't if it's Blunt. And I don't want them to rely on watching Foles make a mistake, because that's what I thought would happen in the championship game, and it took years off my life. So if there's one guy, AJ, who comes up huge in this, who's it going to be?
Oh my goodness!
Either team.
I mean, it's on Nick Foles. It really is. We know if Tom's going to have a good day. I feel like he will. Even if let's say he does they put pressure on him, he throws a few picks, he'll be back. He'll be fine. He'll have them back in the game if they are down. He'll give them a chance. But it's all on Foles. Can Foles do it? He's shown that he has so far, but can he do it in the Super Bowl, man? It's not a good time to have a bad day, that's for sure, when you're in the Super Bowl. Like, remember when the Broncos were in there the first time, and the first snap of the game goes over Peyton Manning's head for a safety?
I remember it well, and I still
in Seattle.
Can't get over. Yeah, I still can't get over that they were playing so bad when that offense had set records and Manning had set records, and then a couple of years later, with Manning as the worst quarterback in football, they rolled over Carolina. It's surreal, and you never know what team is gonna show up. I've watched the 2007 Patriots score 14 points when Brady laughed about the idea that they'd be held to 17. So yep, that's why I know we're not in the prediction business, and I don't even think we should ask for a final score, should we? That's kind of a tacky thing. I've done it on other shows. If I turned out to be right, I'll find the tape and I'll throw it in your face next week.
That's every show on Radio Row. No matter what guest, whoever they get, they gotta always ask them right before they get done. So what do you think? Who's the winner and what's the score? That's what they all want. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not like it's groundbreaking. Like, I would like to go there and do 30 shows and give 30 different predictions. That's what I should do.
And then pull the tape of the one that you got right. Yeah. Or you go off the wall. If someone's an 18-point underdog, you pick them. And if you're wrong, no one ever remembers it. But if you're right, then you just crow about what a genius you are for the rest of your life. So,
prime example, I was in that Super Bowl was in New York, wasn't it? When it was New York against Seattle, it was Denver versus Seattle when the first snap went over Peyton's head. Wasn't that right? I think it was.
Which was the New York Super Bowl?
I think that was the one where the Seahawks smoked them.
Right. Okay, you're absolutely.
I'm pretty sure. Well, going into that game, I think I said a million. I was at Radio Row. I did a bunch of shows. I went on as a guest. All those Cowherd, Jim Rome was there. All these guys, and they would ask me a prediction. I'm like, it's can't pick against Peyton Manning. I love Peyton. I know he's got an arm situation, but Peyton's going to be good. First snap over his head, safety, threw a pick six. Linebacker. That linebacker was the MVP of the game, and they got blown out. So. So there you go. That's my
never competitive. So I'm psyched. Where are you watching it? You at home?
Yeah, we're having some having some people over. My parents are going to drive in, come hang out, watch the game. Chopper's coming over, so we'll be in a little cigar room. We'll be hanging out, watching. And that's the thing too with the Super Bowl. I'm not listening for it's Collinsworth, I guess, and Al Michaels doing the game.
Yep.
We don't turn it up super loud and have to hear everything. That's one of the games where you watch with a group of people, and I'm not a diehard fan either way. I want to see a good game, so yeah, we'll be hanging out, talking, and not too worried about what's going on. I'll just make sure I shush everybody when the commercials come on.
There you go. I'm not making predictions other than I think it's going to be a great game.
Are you watching at home?
Yep, having few people over. Basically, the people watched it with last year because you don't want to mess up the mojo from.
My question for you, Jerry, we everyone knows you're diehard New England.
I played right down the middle. I'm very, very non-biased.
Will it really will you just be absolutely distraught if the Patriots lose?
Probably, but not as badly as I would have been last year or even 2 years ago, because you still had like the Deflategate thing. There was still like a revenge factor. This is about just kind of reestablishing that this is the same dynasty that won 3 out of 4 back, 15 years ago, and that they can do it again and just further crush everybody's neck. But that whole idea, like last year, if after Brady gets suspended, if they didn't get the chance to throw it back in Goodell's face, that would have been really hard to face the world. But yeah, I think if they lose, I'm going to be able to chalk it up to they lost to a really good team. And for the Eagles to win after losing the MVP of the league partway through the season, at that point, you're just going to have respect and say, these guys know what they're doing.
If the Patriots do win, will you be down there watching the duck boats go by and throwing beers to Gronk?
I would love to, except that's a big day for Barstool. Those parades things, we need wall-to-wall coverage. That generates a lot of clicks for us. So last year I was doing Boston radio. I was filling in for somebody while I was blogging about the duck boat parade and looking for material or whatever. I will say this. I got a second book coming out called, well, it's going to be about 5 Super Bowls right now. It's going to mean a lot to me professionally if this turns out to be 6. That's going to generate a lot of book sales. So I've got so much riding on this. I know I said I won't be devastated. Check back with me next week when it's you and Pat, and make sure that I've been able to survive this, because I might end up in an institution. There's times like this, honest to God, where I wish I didn't care as much as I do. Like where I envy people that are just the casual fan who just I don't have a dog in the fight.
I'm nervous for you now, Jerry, listening to how much is on the line for you, and I know how diehard the Boston fans are. But the good thing for you guys, all of the Patriots fans, is that you already have like a default. Even if the Patriots lose, you can say, "Oh yeah, sorry about it. Just count Tom's 5 rings he already has. He doesn't even need any more. He ran out of room on his one hand for it, and his throwing hand with the stitches. Doesn't matter. We'll get his 5 rings. We'll be back next year." So it's not even like it's not as devastating, I don't think, as it is for other people.
No, but I know who America's rooting for. I wouldn't have it any other way. And they can't lose a game to Carolina in September without everyone bathing in their blood. So the fact that as a fan base that, look, I love Philly guys. I love our Philly guys. But let's face it, they're not the most lovable characters in the world. The fact that the world would rather see those pole climbing, bottle throwing lunatics get a championship than New England get another one is just it's part of being a Patriots fan. It's part of being from New England in the 21st century. And God, I wouldn't have it any other way. So, AJ, this was great, man. I'm glad we were able to do this. I want to thank everybody again for bearing with us while we were able to put this together. And we will be back next week with a hopefully Patriots 1 edition of Laces Out. But if it's Philly, then come on back and hear us break it down. AJ, have a great time, man.
Thanks, man. You too. Thanks, guys.